to be here today with all the old friends and meeting some new ones and starting off our Oxford conference. I'm Pau. I'm the author of the Synesthesia Tree website, which most of you probably know. My presentation's about having taste-shaped synesthesia and about a little project called Dancing Tastes in Spain. In Seville is where I'm based. Taste shape is when you taste a food or drink and you perceive geometric figures or something similar to that, basically. And these perceptions are more than shapes because they also have size, colour, texture, attitude, position, movement, rhythm, direction, repetition, replication, and emotion. It can be called gustatory visual synesthesia or gustatory tactile. They're usually listed as two different types, and some synesthetes can have only one of them. But a lot of taste-shaped synesthetes report having both, or something that is visual and tactile at the same time. And also much more than that, which is what I'm going to talk about. The perceptions are proprioceptive, so it seems to form part of you, and it creates an emotional experience. First, I'll show you part of my project. I think practically all those sensations can be expressed and communicated by dance. I was already doing this spontaneously before I knew what synesthesia was, or that I had it. Whenever I went to a Japanese restaurant with my friends, when I ate sushi or maki, I always did this little dance. because there's a very strong feeling that you're being lifted up off the ground by a thin shape behind you. It's as if you have wings, and that creates euphoria. And I thought everybody else was experiencing the same thing, but they just weren't expressing it. They seem to have a sense of the ridiculous that I don't seem to have developed yet. But it turns out the other people were not having the same experience at all. So there's two-minute videos, one now, one at the end, which will also show you more of Seville. Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Any resemblance to a person who actually knows how to dance is purely coincidental. Okay, so 5 points I'd like to talk about. So, yeah, number 1, The Man Who Tasted Shapes. It's a book by Richard E. Cytowic, which most of you are already familiar with. It's a very important book for us, written in the early 1990s when there hadn't been much literature on synesthesia for decades, and the scientific community was still rather wary of it because of its subjective nature. So this book was the first of its time that went into depth with the subject. It was finally taken seriously, and it launched the current period of serious scientific study. It's about the author's friend Michael, who has taste-shape synesthesia. He tends more towards tactile than visual, or it's presented very much in the book as almost exclusively tactile, although it's clearly both. This is how Michael experienced it. He felt and sometimes saw...
Could you move over to the mic?
Oh, sorry. He felt and sometimes saw geometric shapes. He felt some shapes like points throughout his whole body. Other shapes were felt in his face, hands and shoulders. What intrigued me the most was Michael's sense of grasping the shape, fingering its texture or sensing its weight and temperature. He liked to cook and to create a dish with an interesting shape. Sugar made things taste rounder, while citrus added points to the food. He adjusted other seasonings to make the lines steeper, to sharpen up the corners, or to make the surface stretch further back. I read the book when I didn't know I had this type of synesthesia yet, and I just thought, well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? Everyone knows that. It's the same as you. And Michael just seemed a bit more God level, like he saw 5 or 6 columns and I only saw 1, so it didn't count. And I think that's something that's happened to all of us synesthetes. It's difficult for us to realise or to believe that we're experiencing something different. I didn't link it with my strong experiences in childhood, and I thought the weaker experiences didn't count, or I didn't even notice them. That came later on, because focusing on your synesthesia can really enhance it. Taste shape, or taste to shape, is perhaps a better name for it than gustatory visual or gustatory tactile, because it tends to be a combination of both. It's not a very common type, maybe about 5% of synesthetes have it, although we don't know exactly, of course. Inducers, well, eating and drinking, basically. What synesthesia is all about is automatically categorizing series or sequences of abstract concepts in your mind. And tastes are definitely an abstract concept. So you can grasp a hamburger, but you can't grasp its taste. Anyway, each item in the sequence of taste experiences will then correspond to a particular colour, or shape, or position, or tactile sensation, different for each synesthete. Some taste synesthetes have very few categories, and others have many. So some have a shape or colour for sweet, bitter, salty, just the basic elements. Others categorise by types of foods, so they might have a particular mapping for red meat, coffee, fish, chocolate, cheese, each with a distinctive concurrent, which would be similar for different types of chocolate, for example. Other taste synesthetes, like my case, seem to have a lot more categories because they are taste experiences, not foods, not elements. For me, an example is beer. Beer has different types, different brands, it's bottled or draft, and the taste also depends on how long the bottle's been open, and particularly if it's cold or warm. So even if it's the same beer, when those things vary, the shapes are different. When the taste experience is identical, then it's very, very consistent. But the circumstances have to concur. For me, what has also always produced a strong synesthetic experience are exotic tastes, unexpected, unknown. The more boring ones don't hit you around the head like the exotic ones. So emotion can be part of the inducer. And it's also true that the first bite gives you a better experience. Some people always do see it in front of them with a lesser tactile component. If you're more tactile, your memory of it is still visual. Here are some descriptions of what it feels like. I experience a taste like a VR headset program rather than just tasting a taste like a regular person. Flavours have shapes that I can feel in my soul. It feels like being in love. They are proprioceptive shapes. If they're unpleasant, it's an invasive experience. If they're pleasant, it's a very welcome addition to your body. Or they might be outside you, but you feel at one with them. You can perceive two alternative realities at the same time. I get some strong shape experiences, like when I ate my first prawn, for example, sitting on my tongue or somewhere in the mental space that I conceive to be my mouth. So a taste that makes a spherical shape in your mouth. In one reality, it's preventing you from closing your mouth, so you know your mouth is open. And in the other reality, you know you're eating with your mouth closed. So the two realities are superimposed. Another synesthete said that the piece of food could be on one part of your tongue, while the feeling of the taste is on a different part of your tongue, for example. Is the childhood of a taste-shape synesthete different? Yes, it can be, because you don't realise, and particularly the people who decide what you eat, don't realise how different your experience of taste might be. I like this comment made by another synesthete. I cannot swallow things that have weird shapes. And when you can't choose what you eat, that can be a big problem. In my case, I was physically incapable of swallowing many foods because the experience was too bad. In the 60s, there wasn't much understanding about some people being more sensitive to taste than others. So my family and the school's solution was total inflexibility, punishment at home and at school. So developing lying and faking strategies was the only way out, and disposing of their food in a creative manner. But I won't tell you what I did. You don't want to know that. But anyway, it leads to fear, hunger, indifference to hunger, malnutrition. After years, they finally gave in and things improved. But these sensitivities also affect many children on the autism spectrum who can't cope with certain textures and tastes. But there is much more knowledge now and a brighter future for children who are different. So the last point is, what autistic means can we use to express it? I choose dancing, but there are plenty of other ways. Drawing, for example, well, this depicts tiramisu, an incredible experience, but no one could quite understand why this was so wonderful. Anyway, a good artist could draw it better, but I think there are many aspects that drawing can't capture. Painting does better, traditional or computer generated. It's more complete and it adds colour. Artificial intelligence is definitely worth exploring more, and it's fun to type in your experience, refine it, and sometimes it can get very close. But you can get even better results sometimes just by Googling it. Your perception might even be for sale on Amazon. The green chipboard is so identical to a disgusting ice cream flavour experience. Even the angle, everything. Sculpture or 3D printing is good because it gets the texture, transparency, size and the 3D aspect, although the movement and the emotion are missing. Video animation captures a lot of the dimensions. A great example is Michel Gagné for Ratatouille. The character adds the emotion here, which is the most difficult thing to capture. And there could be immersive installation or more ideas. I like dance as it captures a lot of the perceptions. It's three-dimensional. It comes from you, from your body, where it's all happening, and your facial expressions reveal emotion and attitude. turns out that other people can see the logic in it. They wouldn't have danced it themselves, but they kind of understand it. So, 2-minute video, and we'll finish. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. This video may contain traces of noise.
I've seen it all now.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought.
Something.
Yes, I thought.
I have finished.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just an addition. If anyone here has this type of, if anyone here has this type of synesthesia, it would be great to chat to you later on. And also at lunch or at dinner or whatever, if anyone at all is up to dancing some tastes with me, I would be honoured, and I would love to see our different interpretations. So thank you for listening.
There's a question right at the back of it, Jules, and then...
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed, subjectively at least in some of your videos, the tastes that I had like round note, like Maillard reaction notes. I thought I saw some similar movements. I was wondering if you've noticed anything about yourself where you say like, this type of taste makes me do this type of movement.
Yeah, well maybe you should go back to the mic. Type of taste and a type of movement, a type of taste experience and a type of movement.
Yeah,
yes.
like bitterness or versus sweetness or.
Oh yeah, because you know the strong bitter or sour or whatever ones are these up ones, aren't they? Yeah, it's like a point, and I think everybody understands that really, don't they? Yeah. Don't tell me you don't. No, don't tell me. And. Yeah. Another one's most of the beers, or the position, most of the beers are here. You know, they're round, or there might be anything, but most of them are here, and then the meat would be here, kind of ovally things, and so there are. I think maybe it's better not to think about it, because I do enjoy just having a new experience each time, really. But yeah, they are. Yeah.
Right to the back.
Your tiramisu, right, which looked like a sort of a pillow with little points on it.
Oh yeah, my tiramisu, yeah.
the dome part, does that correspond to any particular part of the tiramisu itself?
Yes.
But so, okay, so you've got the dome, you've got the little point.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I wondered if you had, like, what's the dome for you? I don't know how to explain.
It is well-being. It is a feeling of well-being. So that might occur with tiramisu, and it might occur with another food. I think it's like an emotional thing,
Right.
more than the type of food in this case. And I feel it here. Here, it's like I'm lying on it. It's so wonderful. It's like you're floating through space and lying on it. And I don't know why it has the 4 little points, but it has them. And they are important, and I don't know why.
So you can lay over it as though it was like a big yoga ball? Is that the sort of...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but
Okay.
I've never tried a yoga ball, but that must be really uncomfortable compared to my tiramisu.
Unless you're eating tiramisu.
Jasmine?
It's a very short comment. I don't know if you're in touch with Gabriela Ernst from Germany.
No.
So she dances her synesthesia. I'm not sure it's whether taste is one of her stimuli, but could be. But she dances her synesthesia. So we need to connect you two.
I'd love to meet her, yeah, thank you.
She can't be here today. She wanted to, but she just couldn't make it.
Okay.
And last question?
I'm wondering, do you see this as performance art? And do you ever dance an entire meal?
We were talking about that yesterday because we had this fabulous lunch at the Lemon Flag pub, and it was a quiche, and it was some ciders with fruit, and it was so complete, and the quiche was just like changing the whole time, and yeah, the idea came up that you could do a choreography of the whole thing, doing the whole meal, and I think that is a fantastic idea. Yeah, I would love to do it. I don't know if the people who have to watch it or be with you think it's such a fantastic idea, but yeah, I would love to do that. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.